She's just a girl and she's on fire, hotter than a fantasy, lonely like a highway. She's living in a world and it's on fire, filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away. Oh, she got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down. Oh, she got her head in the clouds and she's not backing down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Looks like a girl, but she's a flame. So bright she can burn your eyes. Better look the other way. You can try, but you'll never forget her name. She's on top of the world, hottest of the hottest girls. Say, oh, we got our feet on the ground and we're burning it down. Oh, got our head in the clouds and we're not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Everybody stares as she goes by. They can see the flame that's in her eyes. Watch her as she's lighting up the night. Nobody knows that she's a lonely girl, and it's a lonely world. But she gon' let it burn, baby, burn, baby. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire.
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And good day to you. How's everybody today?
Great.
Fine. We're doing fine.
We're on.
We're on fire.
And we're glad that your technology is working this week.
Oh, please. There's always an issue. But you know what? That's when you put people who have challenges with technology at the helm.
That's right.
But you know what it's forcing us to do? This whole pandemic thing is forcing us to learn.
That's right.
And it's forcing us to do things that out of our comfort level.
Yes.
That's right.
It is. But I had very little familiarity with all the computers and everything, but I certainly am getting good at it.
Well,
I say so myself.
we clearly have to learn, because we're going to have to do this more, and we don't know when any of this is going to absolutely end, or whether or not we will actually go back to where we were before. Right. And so we do. Some of us who are age challenged are going to have to are going to have to do this. And, the thing that's, Rita and Emma, that we can't do, which I normally do. You just call the grandkids over. Could you fix this? Could you do this? Or I call my son, can you take care of that? But now, we can't see each other during this period. And so we just got to learn how to do it ourselves.
That's it.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. You have to. We're shut inside, so what we don't know how to do, we have to try and figure it out with a little help from a friend or a relative, but we have to figure it out now.
That's right. Well, I still call my granddaughter. She don't have to come in. She just tells me what to do.
Well, on this whole issue, I have to say that between Troy and Mike Thomas, and mostly Mike Thomas, because he had to walk me through the whole situation, and, he's very patient in order to do it. And Troy has got to have the nerves of steel, because it always happens to him when we're switching off. And he's got to figure it out, keep the show going and stuff. So so I wanted to talk a little bit before we get started with our topics today. I wanted to talk about Renee Amore. We got word yesterday that she passed, and of course most of you have read it in the Enquirer and the Tribune, and many of us have, talked to each other through texts and the rest. And it's always difficult to accept when someone passes away. And it's also difficult when you see this very vibrant person who you just think that would be with you for a long period of time.
Yeah.
From what I know and knew about Renee, she lived her life to the fullest. We didn't always agree, so I'm not going to say that we were the best of pals, because that would not be true. But what I will tell you is that she lived her life to the fullest, that she was not afraid to take challenges. And I was thinking back to some of the more crazier things that she did. I remember her going on television and singing, and she has a voice a little bit like mine. Neither of us can sing. And but she went through she went through that. I gave her props and her credit. And she challenged herself to do things that an African American woman wouldn't do. We didn't share the same political leanings. She was a Republican, and she wasn't afraid to lean in. Not at all. She was not afraid to lean in.
No, she wasn't. She was a big supporter of Trump when he came in, and she got together with a bunch of ministers. And I remember when he came in town, and he went to Reverend Herb Bluff's church, and she was there playing a prominent role. And they highly respected her in the Republican Party. But what I remember about Renee, and you may recall too, Joanne, is that she spent a lot of time at the Four Seasons and their high tea.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my favorite places, too. I miss it.
That's right. She used to go to high, and she would have more meetings at the Four Seasons Hotel when it was open there on the Parkway with all the business people, because she was a real entrepreneur also. And she would have her meetings right there so that she could enjoy the high tea, as you recall, you and I did a lot of.
But that was one of my favorite places. And I think we have to really mention that she was a entrepreneur and a businesswoman in an era and a time where it was hard for women, and still is.
That's right.
And she did
successful businesses too.
Yes, she did. And so our condolences goes out to her family, her daughter Cherie, her sisters, her family. I know that they're in a lot of pain, and this is a difficult time to lose someone. And so I just wanted to make sure that we talked about her, and that our prayers and condolences go to her family.
And I believe she was a nurse. Wasn't she a nurse too?
Yes. I think she trained at Harlem Hospital.
Yeah, and this is National Nurses Day, so that's a good time to be talking about her, because she was a nurse and ran a health organization. And so since this is National Nurses Day, we want to certainly lift up congrats to all the nurses out there, because these are trying times for nurses. And so we want to recognize our nurses, our nurses of color, so that they realize how much we appreciate them.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a number of things we want to talk about today, and throughout our show we will be lifting up our nurses in our medical community because they're doing what a yeoman's job in what I would say is some of the worst times that we have had. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about, we had a week that lapsed and what went on in your life between last Wednesday and today, both Rita and Emma.
Okay. Well, Rita, you want to go first?
Okay. In the past week, we were able to get my parents out of the house into the car with masks and gloves on and take them for a very short walk in a local park near where they live because they were going stir crazy. And my mother was losing some of her mobility in her legs. So we got her up off the walker, and she took a few steps a few times. And my dad walked down a hill and back up, and we put them back in the car and took them home and put them back in the house. But it really felt good to to be able to get them out and for us to be able to see them, but it lasted a short time, but it was good for them and it was good for us. Aside from that, I'm still staying in. I'm exercising more. I have Pilates tapes, so I'm doing Pilates in the house in the mornings now, and it's killing me, but I'm determined to get back in shape. So I've been doing much of the same thing, but the highlight of the week was getting the parents out of the house for 30 minutes and getting them right back in. That was the highlight.
Right.
That's extremely important. I mean, we miss, our family members, and we have to, this distancing shouldn't be just by, our physical distance, but we have to make sure that we're working very hard to stay in contact. So I know that was a relief for you and your siblings to be able to spend some time with your parents.
It really was because, they are older and we just can't risk it, being around them. We all go out. I still work. My brother works. So it's risky to be around them, but we took precautions and we didn't stay long. But it was important to get them out into some fresh air and then get them home. And they slept. They said they slept so hard. They never slept so hard in their lives. So it was good. It was good for everybody.
Now, Rita, you weren't trying to be doing all that hugging because, you're a hugger. You don't want to be bringing your germs there.
I know, Joanne. Yes, I was. I had to stop myself, and I ended up hugging my mother's leg when she got into the car. I hugged her leg because I couldn't hug her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard for me. It was.
And you shouldn't hug her.
And I shouldn't hug her. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hug my father. I didn't hug. I just hugged her leg when she got in.
Well, they have a new sign for hugging where you cross your arms across your chest, rather. Cross your arms.
Oh, like Wakanda.
Yeah, that's right. That's the new sign that everybody's using, showing that they want to hug. That's
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm going to use it.
It's almost like sign language. You cross your arms, and then you reach out and you take your two arms and you say, that's for you, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So
I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
So, Emma, how was your time?
Well, I had a great week doing nothing except working on my project with the Marion Tasco on. And what's the other thing? Somebody's calling, of course. Working, making sure that the seniors in our building, we had several people to catch coronavirus.
Oh, my goodness.
So we've been dealing back and forth on the phone with that. And one of the ones who's very active in the building was taken to the hospital. And I just talked to the people today. And I also was able to, because of our relationship with Omar Sabir, I was able to get a bunch of mail-in voting cards, that we'll talk about later, but I was able to get the applications to them. And so I've been busy doing that. And then as far as the family is concerned, I was able to get some meat so our family has been are living very well. I've been doing a lot of cooking. And the only thing I'm doing wrong is I'm not doing the distance thing with the refrigerator. I'm eating entirely too much.
I know, isn't it the truth?
I'm not social distancing enough with the refrigerator and in the kitchen. And my grandson, who spends a lot of time with me, he's right with me. So both of us, I said to him this morning, we are eating too much. We have to go for a walk. More often than we go. So that's basically what I do, and I walk every day if the weather allows me.
Good.
And since my daughter and grandson live in the same building, we get together and go for a walk. And that's about all we do. And I talk on the phone to everybody I know, catching people up on my friend Ethel who passed away, our friend Ethel who passed away, and people still calling me about that, etc.
Yeah.
And keep in touch with people at the church. Seniors like me and others. And so I've been calling on the phones and seeing how they're doing or texting when possible, that kind of thing.
Well,
it's been a week at home doing the best I can to reach my friends and family and making sure that my job stays safe and keeping my people safe as much as I can. And I love it. I feel like I'm contributing.
I think we all want to feel like we're continuing to
Yes.
to contribute to a lot of things. We have a lot to discuss, but the one thing that I wanted to say about me, I wanted to say that my older brother who lives in Philadelphia was diagnosed with brain cancer on Saturday.
Oh, my.
And
Oh, my goodness.
he was operated on the other day for 5 hours, and he came through it great. And he's alert, he's talking. But one of the things that I think that we can have a shared experience is that all of us were on pins and needles because we couldn't be at the hospital. We couldn't lay eyes on him. Once he was taken to the hospital, we couldn't see him anymore. And even during the hours of surgery, we had to wait for phone calls to give us an update. And even after the surgery, we had to wait to get phone calls for those for the staff to tell us. But through it all, Emma, it goes back to something you said. There's one nurse who's been calling and with a lot of great care and a great deal of sensitivity that has been keeping the family informed, specifically his wife, and with the gentleness and the patience so that, because she knew that the rest of the family were going out of their minds because we couldn't be there. And we appreciate healthcare, so the healthcare delivery services that nurses and doctors and the people who are in the hospital, from the cleaning staff, the orderlies, everybody that is keeping us up and above, particularly at a time when we see zero leadership coming from our president.
Yes.
So, well, I'm really sorry to hear about your brother, and we pray that he gets well soon. I'm glad.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that he's alert. That's a good sign, especially so soon after the surgery. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So we must all keep him in prayer.
Keep him in prayer, absolutely.
I thank you.
I
thank you.
For the nurses who kept your family informed. Thank goodness for them, and bless them also.
So we're going to have to go for a break. And when we come back, we're going to get to the topic that's our next topic. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And we're streaming live on Facebook. We'll be right back.
Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Wurd.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Wurd Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and on the Wurd Radio app.
This is Joanne Jenkins, CEO of AARP. As the coronavirus continues to affect us all, especially older people and those with underlying health conditions, AARP is here, actively supporting you and your community. Every day, we're providing updated information and tips from trusted sources. We're hosting weekly teletown halls with the nation's top health experts, advocating on your behalf with national and local lawmakers to help secure sufficient resources to meet people's needs, sharing tools to protect you and your family from fraud, and creating resources for family caregivers everywhere to help keep them and their loved ones safe and healthy. For more than 60 years, we've been here to educate, serve, and fight for older Americans. Today, you can count on AARP more than ever. Join us. We may be apart, but we don't have to be alone. Stay connected at aarp.org/coronavirus.
What's up, Philly? It's Aaron Smith, the rapping professor. I have a message from Commonwealth Charter Academy, an online K-12 public school available at no cost to families. A bright light has been cast on the advantages of homeschooling. Visit ccaeducate.me and learn more about fall enrollment. CCA provides internet service reimbursement, a laptop computer, and a headset, all at no cost to you. Visit ccaeducate.me today.
Hi, I'm Council President Darrell Clark. There's only one way to stop the spread of the coronavirus while enjoying the warm weather. If you go outside, wear your mask and keep your social distance 6 feet. By wearing a mask, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your neighbors, your family, your friends, and essential city workers. Some people call us the city of underdogs, but when we work together, we come back stronger. It's who we are. Let's stop the spread. Mask up, Philly.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that brought my liberty. I do not know just how he came to love me so. He looked beyond all my faults and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous that grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond all my faults and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous that grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond. He looked beyond. He looked beyond all my faults and saw my needs. Whoa.
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. And we're back. And for Renee Amore, God rest. You rest in God. Emma?
And can I add Mrs. Elizabeth Hall's name to that?
Yes, please.
Reverend James Hall wife passed away also.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and so that song, when you were playing it, I couldn't help but think of her. And she'll be sadly missed.
And this is for everyone that has lost someone.
Yes.
Yes.
And for those that we're praying for.
We just have to, because people are really dying with this virus, and it's really out of control, and especially African Americans. It seems to be especially hard on our community, which I know we're going to talk about later. But I'm just saying that while you were playing that beautiful hymn.
It was a beautiful song.
Yeah.
It was, and I think everyone.
I try to sing that all the time when I'm at church.
Oh, no, Emma, you didn't. Please tell me you didn't.
I can't sing either, but I love it.
Wait a minute. Emma sounds a little bit like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all right. As long as you can lift your voice in praise, do so.
That's right.
That's all right.
Yes,
Rita, we don't have a voice like you. We're a little bit in the off-key sisters.
That's right. We can be singing.
That's all right, though. That's all right.
But we feel it.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly right.
But we feel it. We definitely feel it.
Let it out.
That's right.
So we're going to move to our topic. Last week, Mayor Kenny offered a new budget to City Council. And we know that we are in extremely hard times. There's no way that we can get around it. The virus has decimated state budgets, has decimated cities across the U.S., and Philadelphia is no different. But the one thing that we know in all of this is that African Americans suffer more than anybody else. We see it with the number of deaths as compared to the number of African Americans in this population. And so we are activists, and we want a point to be made. We have 11 members of City Council of color. And I point that out because we have shared living experiences. And we want to remind them when they are looking at this budget and making the cuts and appropriating dollars to where they think that should work, that they have to keep in mind that African Americans suffer much harder. So Rita, I ask you to read to our audience what we sent to those members.
Okay, sure. Dear council members, as conveners of the Black Women's Leadership Council and on their behalf, we write to request a deliberate and thoughtful reconsideration of the budget that was unveiled by Mayor Kenny yesterday. When approving the mayor's budget priorities, the impact on the minority community must be considered. Unfortunately, no matter how well-intentioned Mayor Kenny's budget proposals are, there are few people of color within his administration helping to prepare the budget. Consequently, his priorities are often viewed through the lens of people who don't have our shared experiences. Further, as many of you are already aware, when the white community at large gets a cold, the Black community gets pneumonia. We do not suffer equally. Therefore, you must take this imbalance into consideration when adopting Mayor Kenny's revised budget. Moreover, those of us in the middle class who are lucky enough to retain jobs are supporting family members who've lost their jobs. We're paying rent or mortgages, groceries, and other necessities required to survive. This has always been the case in the minority community. We struggle in a good or bad economy. We clearly understand the position that both City Council and the mayor face. Too few choices, and of those, none are good. However, we, as a community of people of color, both inside and outside of government, cannot endorse taxing our way out of the problem, to quote Council President Clark. African American property owners are being gentrified out of their neighborhoods through no fault of their own and already taxed to their maximum and struggling to hold on to their homes. Many are a paycheck away from bankruptcy, and with job losses due to coronavirus, it would be unconscionable to raise property taxes and put the community further at risk of losing their homes. Our focus should be doing everything in our collective power to assist the African American community in holding on to assets that will build family stability. Therefore, it is up to you, council members of color, to protect our interests. Sincerely, Black Women's Leadership Council. Joanne Bell, co-convener, and the Chappelle co-convener, Rita Hill, chair of standing committees.
Thank you. Now, I want to say that I heard immediately back from 4 council members, and I'm going to tell you who they are. Okay. I heard back right away from Kenyatta Johnson, Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, and he said that he agreed, and that was his sentiment, and about not to raise real estate taxes. I heard from Councilwoman Catherine Gilmore Richardson, who raised the very topic in their meeting. I also heard from Councilman Derek Green. I heard from Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and all of them are let us know that they heard what we have to say. They know that this is a difficult budget. But what I need for you to do is that you've got those of you who agree, the listening audience, to what we have said. It is not enough to let us do it. You have to raise your voices. You have to let them know where you stand on this issue. And I want to hear from you. And we're going to keep, and we will give out, you can call them through City Hall. You can go through the City Hall switchboard and call their offices and let them know how you feel. But we do not suffer equally. And when I hear this shared pain, how much more pain can the African American community take? How much more pain?
And not only that, Joanne, but I haven't heard anything about the tax abatement program. And so while you have one side getting a tax abatement, you're increasing taxes on the other side for real estate property. So you give the tax abatement on one side and then you raise taxes, real estate taxes on the other side. What kind of sense does it make? You have to address it.
And then you're allowing all this gentrification to take place and moving people out of their neighborhoods. So, it's
struggling.
It's people, that's right. It's people brown and black people who are suffering every day. And not only are they taxing them, I'm worried about the jobs they're going to cut. Are they going to cut the lower end jobs? Or some of these big paying salaries where African Americans have not been allowed to work.
Right. It seems like they'll be cutting the lower salary jobs.
So then they're going to lay off all those people. There again, we have no jobs. So there definitely has to be a voice from the community to complain about this.
Well, the thing that we need to have, all of those council members that we just mentioned, the 11 and it should be all 17, regardless of their ethnic background. We need to know
the party background.
We need to have a list of people. We need it broken down about who's getting laid off. Many of the people will come from the non-union because the unions have a collective bargaining that will prevent that unless they do away with the function. And so we want to know specifically the names of the people so that there's not, an imbalance. And I don't even care about going just about saying the imbalance. We're already imbalanced. So anybody at the lower end, a person of color, we're what did they used to say, Emma? We're the last to be hired and the first to be fired.
That's right. And it's true. And everyone knows it, and everyone's experienced it.
And that's what I'm concerned about. You better believe that they have us listed to be on the chopping block. But here again, I am grateful. I'm glad that our council, the council people that responded. But we want to know, what are they going to do? We want more than them to congratulate us on this letter. Do something. Congratulate us by making sure that we know that you're meeting with the mayor and you're making sure that the cuts are not unfairly impacting our community.
Yes, and that there will be reconsideration for this increase in the real estate taxes.
That's right. They need to step up.
They need to step up because they expect Black Women's Leadership Council to stand up and say this is wrong. They expect that. Where's the community? We need the community behind us as well.
And where is City Council? Are they in those meetings, and what are they doing?
And what are they saying?
Are they just
there is a separation there's a separation of services. The mayor prepares a budget. Council has to adopt the budget. And so the reason why we reached out to council is because we want them to be mindful that don't adopt a budget that doesn't have the priorities that we are indicating.
Yes.
And to be very clear, a very clear message that we will not tolerate a further real estate tax increase because it disproportionately harms the African American and Latino community. It disproportionately harms.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then just like Ms. Emma said, on top of that, you're going to increase real estate taxes, and then you're going to cut jobs. You're going to cut services, city jobs. And so they said there will be some seasonal jobs and temporary jobs that they'll cut, but there are a whole class of other jobs that are being looked at, and we want to know what those jobs are.
And we don't want to find out at the last minute, and then it's too late because they've already laid them off or found a reason to fire them, all the tricks of the trade. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. How can you pay an increased real estate tax if you have no job?
That's right.
But you know what bothers me even more? This term, shared pain.
Yeah.
And it's like you're at the bottom rung. You can't go down any further. And there's somebody that's all the way at the top of the ladder. And then they say to you, but, we want to have shared pain. No, sometimes the pain has to be taken from the people at the top, not from the bottom.
And you know what? We want some shared success.
To go along with that shared pain.
That's right. The balance of that shared pain. We don't get the shared success. So there's something has to be done about this. And we're expecting our city council members to step up.
That's right, and we want to hear from them. We want to hear from them what they're prepared to do to step up. What are they prepared to do? It's great to agree with the letter, but what are you prepared to do for your constituency?
Yeah, we know it was a good letter. Now, what's the result?
Exactly. What are you going to do? And it's important at this time, especially at this time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I marvel at the people who say, well, I don't know what I can do and blah, blah, blah. I tell people all the time, just do. Just do something. Just do. Just step up.
Well, a lot of us, here's the thing, we don't make a lot of noise. When the papers write these awful articles or take positions that that is anti us, what happens is that we don't get the we don't stand up and say, look, we don't like that. We don't kick back. We don't do any of the things that to stand up for ourselves. We got to do more of that. We'll mumble amongst ourselves, but we've got to have the fortitude to stand up to the press and to stand up to elected officials that represent us and let them know exactly what we think and feel.
Okay.
Yes, and threaten not to vote for them. Call their offices and tell them that this is a big concern and is going to affect the way you vote. If they hear that, they will make changes. But if they don't hear from their community, the constituency, they just sit back and they don't do anything.
And then you get what you got.
Right.
So we're saying let's make sure we don't get what we got.
No.
No, we're going to keep you informed because that's who we are. We're going to do everything we can to keep our listening audience informed, but you got to do something too because it affects you. It affects you. You know that take an inventory in your households and see how many people have been already laid off. People who can't go to work. A number of people who are the kind of worker who cannot work from home, who have to go out there and mask up and glove up in order to get the goods and the services to people. We are not, what we have to say is that our skin color should not relevate us to being a commodity that we get used, that we are the service employees and not respected.
That's right, because when we do that, we are not respected.
Well, we're not seen in many instances, and let's bring it on down to the front. We're not seen as being human. We're expendable.
That's right.
We didn't get those people starting to march in the streets and at the capitals talking about they want to go back to work until the voices was raised that this virus was hitting people disproportionately. And when they found out that it hit the African American community and the Latino community much harder, we want to go back to work. Let's spread some more of this stuff around because after all, it's not getting us.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's what they think. Okay, that's their attitude, and that's what they think. White people who are out there marching and want to reopen the states and the cities, that's what they think. Well, it's not going to hit us the same as it's going to hit black people and Latinos and minorities. So let's open up the state for everybody else and let the coronavirus hit them. But they are wrong because they're dying too. You can't get away from it. If the virus is there, if it's out there and you come in contact with it, you're going to get it. You're going to get very sick if you have underlying conditions. And sometimes when you don't, you are going to get the virus and you just might perish from it.
Right.
The risk isn't worth it.
So there was a budget that the Senate, and we read a little bit about that last week, introduced talking about how they wanted to dispense with the money for the $3.9 billion with a B dollars that was allocated to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania through the CARES Act. We've been trying to follow up on this a little bit, and I don't like what I'm beginning to see. Let me start with, I have been told that this money is going to go through the Department of DCED, so of Community and Economic Development. And the secretary's name is Dennis Davin. And I've mentioned him before. And I think, folks, that we need to get to our legislators, and we also should be sending messages that Secretary Davin should understand that we need this money allocated. We were asking for a number of things because it can be helpful to our school system, which would lessen the burden of attempting to raise taxes, real estate taxes. Some of this allocation could be used for schools. The other thing that we want, our businesses are not getting a fair allocation of the dollars. They have been swooped up and taken by large businesses through shady games at the federal level. But let's not take our eye off of, because I saw a list come out from the state, from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I shared that list with Councilman Derek Green. And I said to him, how many minority companies do you see on this list that got the money? And I saw the first wave. The first wave, I don't even think I saw any company that came out of Philadelphia.
Oh, no.
The second wave, there was a few companies, but they were not recognizable companies. We're going to have to take a break, and we'll be right back to discuss that further. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at Wurd on Facebook. We will be right back.
Despite spring weather, the COVID-19 outbreak has forced us indoors. To slow the spread of this outbreak, staying home is what we need to do. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross. Fact is, 80% of people infected with the virus don't know they have it. Even if you feel well, you can spread it to others, and that could be particularly dangerous for an older relative or a loved one with an underlying health condition. Isolating from others isn't easy. Humans are social beings, so connect by phone, text, or video chat. Stay engaged with friends and family, and if you feel sick, call your doctor. Much of the care you need can be delivered by telemedicine. This will limit potential exposure to COVID-19 for yourself and healthcare professionals. For more, visit ibx.com/COVID-19. Together, we will beat COVID-19.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can. But it's just as important to take time for yourself. AARP can help. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Save our black business. Join us for online shopping Wednesday and Thursday, May 6th and 7th. Enjoy beautiful handmade gifts. Partial proceeds go to support black doctors. Go to survivestrivethrive.org to join Zoom.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
We're back. We were running our mouths a little bit too much, and we almost blew through the break, so we're going to skip the song. We have some callers hanging on to talk to us.
We're passionate about this. That's why we're running our mouths.
Yeah, don't get us started on something we're passionate about, because we can go all night.
Right.
So let's go to Maurice from North Philadelphia.
Hey, ladies. How the ladies?
Hi.
Hi there, Maurice.
Hey, Mr. Pell. I hear you in there.
Good, thank you.
Ladies, I hate to beat a dead horse, but sometimes a dead horse is the best horse to beat.
That's right.
We know this condition that we're in. It's not the first time we've been in this kind of condition. This may be the worst condition that we've been in since modern times. But the fact is this. 1990 to 1945, we was in the Depression. At that time, Black America was doing okay. We was doing well. We had 200 business districts. And we did our thing. But because of jealousy and envy we never rebuilt from what was taken from us or destroyed from us. We had to go back and take a look at what was working and what put us in a position to win. Yeah, they supposed to do what they supposed to do, but we can't wait for them to do it. If we have businesses that's going to go out of business, we have people that is not going to eat. The low income can't take care of themselves. So when you have a mixed income, then it balances itself out. The black community didn't let one another starve. That's where the borrow system came in. But today, because we don't have a community, we have a neighborhood, the neighborhood don't know each other, we can't let anything happen. That's what's happening in our neighborhood because we don't have unity in the community. So we have to go back and look at the old principles and see what we did right to have us a prosperous neighborhood. The number writers was our unofficial bankers. We have things in place.
That's true.
We had things in place that kept the community going, and then them guys kept a safety measurement around the community. So until we go back and look at the principle that we was winning on and the game plan we was winning on, we're going to continue to look over the fence and watch them throw steak to everybody else, and they're going to throw the bones back over to us, wondering why we're not getting anything because we're not playing the game the way the game's supposed to be played.
Right.
We're not demanding. We're asking. And Martin Luther King said what? It takes a sense of manhood for this. No marching, no protesting. This is what we have to do for ourselves. We have to correct these measurements. So we have to go back to the table and say, look, this game plan ain't working.
Well, you don't have any complaints from us. We certainly agree.
Right. We agree.
Have a good one, lady.
Yeah.
Can't ask,
Thank you.
You have to stand.
Thank you, Maurice. We're going to go to Linda in Delaware.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi, Linda.
Good. How are you, Linda?
Hi, good afternoon, Linda.
Although I am a resident of Delaware, my upbringing, and I was born and raised in Philadelphia, which I extremely still love and still like to be affected in a lot of the causes that affect the African-American community. And I always truly believe that we need, it's a necessity, to challenge the council and the state rep and the legislator from the city, the state, and the federal level. We need to protest. We need to challenge 24 hours if necessary so that our voices can be loud. As women in leadership, the women need to challenge as well to know, because our men today are not standing up for us on our constitutional life of living, period, nor for our kids. So now we have all of these women that's in leadership. Where are they? Where are the sisterly affection for each other, from homeless women in the streets to women in corporate? Where are they? I don't hear anything. And we need to protest, period.
Point well taken.
Yes, because protest is a very, very good way to demonstrate a community, what a community's position is, how they feel about an issue. And so protesting through the years has been a very, very resourceful way and successful way of demonstrating.
Mm-hmm. But in fact, we are women in leadership, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We get the word out to our community, and we want our community to follow through and stand with us and with themselves, to stand up for something.
That's right. Stand up for themselves.
Stop sitting down.
Strategy plan to do such right, because we need a strategy plan, because our sheroes are now seniors. They are not able, but their voice are still strong. They still encourage the communities of all levels. And we need to encourage them to come out and support and develop a strong strategy so that our voices can be heard. And a lot of these rights needs to be flipped and turned over. I mean, the list is getting long, and yet I don't see which one of those titles on that list that we have attacked and made a difference in ourselves, in our community.
I see.
It's getting worse and worse. It's depressing.
Well, we want to lift it up, Linda, because when we get on our knees, what we got to do is get right back up and fight. And we do have a lot of good young women coming along, and not quite young, but we have Dorisha Miller in Philadelphia, who's been a fighter, comes from a family of fighters, and is when you call, she calls to arms. We have a number of young women that we've been working with within the Black women's leadership. Phoenicia Williams, who's an attorney who just had a baby, and she has so much fight in her, and I can make the whole issue. We just have a number of women, and we'll call them out because I don't want to miss someone who we love dearly. But we have a number of them that are out there.
That's right, and don't be depressed. Be encouraged. You were moved to make the phone call today. Talk to your family and your friends. Get them involved in what we're doing. Listen to the show. Find ways that you can get involved, but don't be depressed, because there are ways for you to get involved, and there's a need for you to get involved.
And we're glad that she called in. That's a move.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, you have to call in. We appreciate it, Linda. And what you're doing, what you're saying, is exactly the point we're trying to make. Where is the community, and what are we doing about these things that are happening to us every day? Every day, something else comes out. I said to my daughter, we just don't get a rest. As a race of people, we don't get any rest. Everything has to fight. I said that to you, Linda. Rita, when we were talking. I thought, there's no break. There's no break. So we just got to keep fighting. I've been fighting all my adult life, so I'm just used to it. But we got to encourage these other women, younger women, to come along and be ready to pick up the baton.
That's right.
Until we get justice, we can't afford to stop. And that's in all facets of life.
In all facets of our lives. It's a constant onslaught, a barrage of racism and oppression that we have to deal with every day. Even with the coronavirus, we're stuck at home, but there are so many issues that are affecting our community. We still have to fight from home.
That's right.
We have to fight from home. And if that is so, then so be it. We will fight from home.
Well, we thank you for your call, Linda, and you keep in contact with us. We're going to go to Mary from Mount Airy.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Mary.
Mary.
Hi.
You know, we have to realize that our top law enforcement person in our state is Josh Shapiro. And the other attorney generals in these other states. If we have an attorney general that's sitting up there listening, knowing that the conditions, what they are in their states, that they supposed to be the top law enforcement are, we've been giving him a free pass for quite some time. You know, and when I heard him on your show saying that it's going to be up to Trump administration to correct this, we always had joint.
What is it that he's correcting? Because I want to be clear about it. What is the thing that you think that he should be correcting, and what is the thing that he said it's up to the Trump administration to correct?
Okay, regarding this coronavirus, where people are not getting the correct benefits that they are entitled to, where a lot of times we look at the disparity in Black people getting what they're entitled to, in addition, where with our schools, conditions that they're in now. You know, Josh Shapiro, we have joint jurisdiction under anything that's on a federal and a state level. And we always argue, and that's what bothered me throughout those years that I worked with the state. We always argued, oh, it's not under my jurisdiction. Anytime that you have your federal tax dollars that's supposed to be issued in your behalf, and you have the top law enforcement person in charge that's not doing anything about it, just like we have this illegal tax abatement that's been in this city for quite some time. Josh Shapiro could have stopped this, knowing that it's illegal. And he could have had joint jurisdiction with the federal government. You know, everything that's on a state level is also under the federal level. I mean, we were on joint jurisdiction when it came to prosecuting a bracelet in this city. You know, we even had the district attorney involved in that. I mean, this is it's ridiculous now. And now we having President Trump saying that he's going to file human rights violations against China, reparations for the United States. We need, as Black people, to join in on that case against China. We need to join in on the case against the United States, because we're looking at everything that has harmed us in this city and state based on the gun violence that no one is taking a look at. You know, the federal government should have been involved with that. Also, the state to stop this. And we can have a new police commissioner. I haven't heard her say anything about what is her guidelines that she has in place. You know, a lot of things, we're letting these people have a free pass while we're dying in numbers. Now they're saying that we have a choice between a job or our health. No. Make sure that we file the necessary lawsuits against these people who are not doing their jobs. Make sure that we prosecute these people that have basically took advantage of us based on human rights violations. We went in front of the United States United Nations, and they turned a blind eye. Now, we look at the conditions that we're in now. Now we're being forced to visit this again. No, make sure that the people...
Mary, I want you to listen because we got to go to break. But when I come back, I want to say something to you. Don't hold on. But I want to answer. I can't answer, but I want to raise something. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word, and we'll be right back.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Come on out and become a Wurd Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun. Call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. Come on out and become a Wurd Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
diversity,
inclusion,
compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Pennsylvania was forged for the common good. Hard work, calloused hands, big thinking. Every Pennsylvanian is a bit different, but in this way we're all the same. We are not afraid of a challenge. The coronavirus is just another moment where we must come together to protect our home. The fuller we embrace social distancing, the fewer Pennsylvanians will be lost. Stay home to stay safe. Stay home to protect Pennsylvania.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. We are progressive and proud and interactive. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at OnWord. This is Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
If you're lying, keep on lying. Don't tell the truth, don't you dare. Don't you dare. drop me. 'Cause you still got me. After taking me way up there. If I ever lose this heaven, if I ever lose this heaven, oh, I'll never be the same. Oh, if I ever lose this heaven, if I ever lose this heaven, oh, I'll never be the same. Extra kind, then suddenly you're cross. You are so moody, keep it coming, still can't turn you off. Fascinating, more fascinating than the dark side of the moon. It's so exciting that I'm rewriting the book of love called you. If I ever lose this heaven, if I ever lose this heaven, oh, I'll never be the same. If I ever lose this heaven, if I ever
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We're streaming live at 4Word. So we're back. And I just wanted to, Rita and Emma, I think now is the time to interject that the issue is if you don't vote, you don't count. You get the government that you vote for. And we now are sitting here. I mean, you can have a Josh Shapiro, you can have all of the local district attorneys, but what you got to have is the court system. And right now, we hang on by a thread. Every time that we hear that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to the hospital, our hearts sink. We are literally trying to hold this little woman up. So that she could stay alive long enough so that Trump and them don't completely take over the Supreme Court. And I don't care where you're going. You can sue all you want to sue. But if Mitch McConnell is loading the courts with federal judges and filling up these appeals courts and the circuit courts and all of the other stuff in these federal courts, what do you think is going to happen?
And that's exactly what he's doing. I understand that they have, put in 198 new judges. And those judges impact our lives. And sometimes we don't even come out and vote for the judges.
We don't vote. We don't vote because who appoints the federal judges? The Senate.
And now,
I mean, the Senate approves. The president appoints. The Senate approves, and many of the recommendations are coming from the federal senators that go to Washington, and they have filled the courts with almost people who are just, some of them, their resumes are thin, and the only thing that they want them to do is to have a certain ideology, and most of their ideology is tinged with racism, that they're going to apply standards in the court. So when someone calls up and says, we ought to sue this person, we ought to sue that person, what court is going to hear it?
That's right.
If you don't vote, what we ought to be screaming about is that just the way that the Republicans did vote. They didn't care about Trump as long as he was in there and he could put the judges in and he could change the way the country was going. That's what they cared about.
That's right.
But you know what?
Yeah,
What we
and
do.
we've been talking about the absolute need for our community to come out and vote. We've been talking about that for months and months. All year long, we stress the need for voting, the need to be involved, the need to vote for the judges, that the judges on the local level affect your lives and the people in your family's lives on an everyday basis. If you have to sue somebody, you're going to end up in court in front of someone. Did you vote for them? Do you know anything about them?
And, you know, I was so disappointed at last election when we had all those qualified people, women, black women, who were prepared to be a judge, and we wouldn't even come out and make sure that we voted them in. We did not, and then the party didn't help us, and we didn't get any support. I mean, where are we? What are we thinking about? I understand now there's going to be an opening on the Supreme Court in 2022. We should be getting prepared for these kind of things. Where is our community when these kinds of things happen?
That's right.
But the thing,
how dare them not put a black woman judge on that last election?
Well, we have to fight it at the local level, Emma. We have to fight it at the local level. But I'm talking about voting at the federal level. That why when we hear this nonsense about, well, I don't know if I like Biden, your life depends on that. Your life depends on it. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that silliness that's been going on. But I first wanted to respond that I got a text from Linda Miller, and she said that they're having a prep for primary 2020, registering mail-in and absentee ballots. Why we must vote. It's a statewide virtual call to action. It's Thursday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Register in advance for this meeting. It's a Zoom meeting, and I'm trying to figure out what this link below is and how they may be able to get it. It says join their alumni chapter with Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, Representative Morgan Cephas, Representative Summer Lee, Representative Jake Wheatley, Commissioner Omar Sabir, for a statewide virtual call to action, prep for primary 2020. And we're going to have to figure out how you go on this line, because we're on air, and tell you where. I'll check with her to see where you can look. I think you can find it on Facebook for those of you who are on Facebook. So our point is that we keep that, which brings me to the topic, Rita and Emma, that we want to talk about this, that how in 2016, the Russians targeted African Americans with fake stuff. They used Facebook and, Instagram and all of that other stuff. And I see now, when I'm up on Facebook, people who ought to know better passing on this fake nonsense that's being fed to them. The latest stuff is all on this coronavirus, where they've got this fake dialogue that what is the Microsoft person, the head of Microsoft, Bill Gates. They're trying to say that Bill Gates, somehow they're trying, I don't know what this stupid narrative is, but they're attempting to push this narrative because they need to, about Bill Gates, and somehow they even had fake pictures putting Bill Gates in a picture with Dr. Fauci in order to say, there's some conspiracy going on here, and that's the reason why you have, someone, and I will leave her name out of it because I love her dearly, sent me some of this nonsense. I said, don't you send me no more of this nonsense, because it's not true. And more importantly, you're too smart for that. You're too educated not to know better than to pass that on and to read through the lines.
And, you're getting to an important problem. Because of all this social media, people are passing on all kind of lies and what have you, that our community is gobbling up and thinks that they're true. And I find a lot of stuff on there that is just really not true. and they make it look like it's true because they put people like you just mentioned in the pictures and say that that's what's going on. And so I just don't know how. We're trying to make sure that the public gets the right information, but there's so much other information coming out on Twitter and Facebook, et cetera, and Instagram that people are reading and they're believing them. And it's every day, day in and day out. That's why during this coronavirus, I tried to get off of them for a while, because it's enough we're already mentally challenged because we're in the house all the time and we can't go anywhere and we can't see our friends. And then we have all this stuff coming at us through these various sources of social media, and we just at a point where, it's depressing. We don't know what to believe anymore.
Well, I think that we have to
out there.
We have to get our news from trusted sources. When you hear some of these sources where this stuff comes from, organizations or news organizations you ain't never heard of before, putting out some of this stuff, then you know to dismiss it. And further, don't post it and have people reading it. Now, it says that hold on one second, Rita. The Senate Intelligence Committee report revealed that Black Americans were disproportionately targeted by the Russian disinformation in the 2016 election. And these campaigns remain active through to today.
Yeah.
And as the general election is nears this in November, we're going to see much more of this, because if they know we're not going to vote for Trump, what they're trying to do is get us to be discouraged from voting for the Democratic ticket. And so we're going to get more mimes on social media, fake news, advertising, and all of this stuff is going to come at us, and we got to be smarter than that. Go ahead, Rita.
And that's what happened in the last election. The Russians saw to it. They got into social media and started sending out all these messages, and people believed it and didn't come out to vote for Hillary. And so we ended up with Trump. Now we want to get rid of him. So are we going to hear all the positive things that he's done, which we know are not true when it comes to our community?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. It's the same exact thing that happened the first time with Hillary. People got discouraged. Okay, the Russians, they put so much misinformation out there, people became discouraged and they refrained from voting altogether. I read an article today in the Inquirer about a man and his son from the Dominican Republic who are here now, and they said that they were not going to vote for Biden because Biden wasn't speaking their language and he wasn't appealing to them. So instead of voting for Trump, which they did last time, they voted for Trump instead of Hillary because they got discouraged with what Hillary was saying. So now they're discouraged again. So they said they're not going to vote, or they would consider a third party.
Yeah, that's just why from the Dominican Republic, you come here, and don't get me started. We've got some calls because I'm about to go up. Those are the ones that locking up in cages at the border and doing all kinds of stuff. And then you say that's silliness. We have.
You're going to not vote at all?
And taking their families, taking their kids away from them and doing all kinds of things. And now they're not going to vote. And that's an important point because
it is. So what's he so discouraged about? Discouraged about what?
And people have to understand when you don't vote, that's a vote for the other party.
Exactly.
That's right. So when you say you're not going to vote, it has a lot of meaning.
We have Emma and Rita. We have a couple of callers hanging on. So we're going to go to Reverend Williams, Mount Airy.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm going to tell you the real reason I called. I wanted to wish Miss Emma Chappelle a happy Mother's Day and the rest of you. I've known her since she was a teenager. So.
Reverend Williams, that must have been a long time ago.
It was. She was in banking. I've known her. She's been the same way ever since. And the other reason I wanted to call, because I was working with Jesse Jackson, she kind of put me together with him. He told me one time about how black folks suffer from the lack of truth, and you guys are really on it this afternoon. And one of the subjects I would like to bring up, maybe you'll talk about it one day at another time, is the blue bloods. The blue bloods. Jesse Jackson mentioned to me that Philadelphia was like a headquarters for blue bloods. That was people passing to be white. And I had some in my own family, so I know this story backwards, because there was a beauty shop on Market Street they would do the hair on people that was passing to be white. People thought they was white, they wasn't. Because at that time, they said if you had one drop of black blood in you, you were black. Now that it changed, that's about black and brown. Well, I see a whole lot of brown people working on these jobs, Puerto Rico, cutting grass and everything else, and we still suffer, black folks. So we need to address all this, and please let our young people know we come through a lot of phases of colored, black, Negro, all that other stuff. It did more to harm us than anything else in the world. Because you want to talk about that today, or you can talk about it another time. But I know there was a whole gang of folks passing that really, they were black, but they were lying to folks and say they were, whatever it might be.
There's a lot of that, Reverend Williams, that went on. I had it. All of us have it somewhere in our family. They felt that was the way that they could survive, and so they decided to go over to the other side if they could. And those who couldn't come over the other side acted like they were already on the other side.
Amen.
And treated, and that's where we get this colorism from, where people, that got, because they're going to divide us in every way that they can.
Yes.
And some of us, are very proud of being divided. Some of us are very proud of. I don't think that we should make a difference whether you're a fair-skinned African-American or whether you're a dark-skinned African-American. But we have to know you're all in the same boat.
Yes, ma'am.
And when the police are discriminating, and when they come after you, they're going to shoot you whether you're light-skinned black, or they're going, because they shot Asian people and people who were Indian because their skin was dark and they thought they were black.
Amen.
That's right.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I tell anybody that's bragging about being mixed up, I say, somebody mixed. You mixed up. You ain't mixed. You're mixed up. That's
right.
Wrong with you. So thank you, ladies, for letting me do that. And Miss Em and the rest of you, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we're going to go to the next call. George from Center City.
Happy Mother's Day to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
And the one person I'm going to really miss is Renee Moore. Is condolences all out to her. Is that what I was saying earlier? Is that she's one of the few black women in this city you have to respect. Even though she was a Republican, you could always go to her when somebody needed some help. In Harrisburg, when they was in control and people's contracts or their money was messed up, she had no hesitations about getting on that phone and telling whoever it is to make sure that person got that contract or that money. We don't see that too much anymore, I've seen people tell her off because she was a Republican, and that same people would have to go to her weeks or months later to ask her for a favor. And you know what the part about her I like? She never held it against them, of their ignorance and not knowing that one day they would have to come. She would still do the same thing. Not me, but she would, I respected that. I really loved that about her. She was a woman's woman. She was a very rare person. I'm glad y'all back. Is that, everybody want to blame Kenny for this tax increase, this property tax increase. I don't blame him one bit. He should ask for a 35 or 40% increase. You know why? Those flunkies he got in council want to dance, jump, hop, skip, do everything their boss tell them to do. Now, anybody, if they don't want no tax increase, call your council person and tell them, if you vote for that, then I'm not going to vote for you in 3 years.
Exactly. That's right.
That's the thing you got to get on. See, most people at this station here are more, let me say like this here. The sad part is that now everybody getting on this Zoom and Skype and all this crazy stuff. Only elected officials to the point that they're forgetting their base. Most of the people that vote in this city is elderly people. You better try to get to them opposed to trying to reach these people who don't vote, like the Burns, the younger ones that don't vote, don't have no sense of voting, and they've got some sense of entitlement. Everybody get their priorities mixed up thinking that everybody think and act like you because you're computer literate and know all this type of new type modern stuff. Think in terms of the voter. Most of the people who vote in this city don't know nothing about, they barely learn how to text and use the phone. So you're going to jump all this over. You notice how all these elected officials now, it's like a praise and worship, like they in church. They be on the thing, and all of them make sure that they be talking to each other. Rarely is their constituents that they're talking to. They're having church among themselves, like talking in their living room. Now they're talking in their living room. They're not talking to their constituents. They're talking to each other. And they're happy with that, thinking that they're going to get votes. That's how tricked up our elected officials that they are. But, you know, it's we always say, you get what you vote for, you know, and you get what your money paid for, you know, but they don't have no sense of anything, compassion for their constituents. None. And people say, why are you so hard? It ain't about hard on them. They get paid. They get paid a good salary, free car, free insurance, and everybody keep talking about, man, you shouldn't. Yes, you should. You should dog them out every chance you get when they're doing wrong. Everybody want to sit there and act like they some. You would think Luther Vandross walked in the room sometime when these elected officials come in, especially the ones that don't do nothing for you. They don't do nothing, give you nothing. All they do is talk to you, talk down to you in a nice, slick way, and you don't understand nothing they say. Like one elected official we got is head of farming and all that. Oh, he never talk about the SNAP program where people can get their food stamps increased. They come on air and talk about stuff that's going on in D.C. and in Idaho and Reno. Who cares what's going on there? Tell me about what's going on in Philadelphia. Ms. Chappelle, I'd be glad when you get back on this thing about all these killings that's going on in this city, about this stay home. You know, like they got these stay home moms. They got the stay home police commissioner who's never in the streets, don't know what's going on, don't care what's going on. But then again, like you say, they give you what you ask for. Don't mean it's your color is your kind. She's here to be a black woman to fail, one, purposely and intentionally, don't know her job, not going to teach her job, but not going to learn her job. So when people start being in the uproar, you know what they're going to say? Hold it. Let's stop this right now. And I know how Kenny is. You asked for a black woman to be commissioner. That's what I gave you. Now, what are you arguing about? You notice all the ones that was cheering it on in the beginning? They're real quiet now. You know why?
So I don't want to break up the party, but we got to go to commercial. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word, and we'll be right back.
For over 115 years, Philly's top sandwich pros have always started the exact same way. Amoroso's, why Philly's sandwiches are world famous. During these unprecedented and challenging times, Amoroso's would like to thank its customers and its associates for their hard work and dedication as they continue to feed our community. This too shall pass, and Amoroso's will be by your side and on your table now and for generations to come. Want to make the very best sandwiches? Always start with the very best. Amoroso's.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media. Join Word Radio as we celebrate mothers. This Sunday on Mother's Day, we're honoring the mothers of the community by sharing their pictures. All you have to do is send us a photo of your mother or the special mother figure in your life and one of her favorite quotes. Email the picture and the quote to social media at wordradio.com. Then follow us on Facebook at 4Word and Instagram and Twitter at OnWord. Happy Mother's Day from Word Radio.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WordRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
The sense of momentum fills the city air. Hit a heartbeat is alive and draws you in. Things will never be the same. Thought I've been here, but never here times before. Then the roller coaster dipped and sped along no more. But I'm not in the same space. 'Cause I'm hardly the woman that I once was. Now I search for the ground underneath my feet as the city burns, as the city burns. fancy ladies, pricey wows and argyle. From home, maybe selling teas, running wild. Just hope I don't lose my head. Now I'm thinking on a dream that my sister had. Back then I was too young to see it wasn't bad. So thanks, chick, by the way. 'Cause I'm hardly the woman that I was. Now I search for the ground underneath my feet as the city burns, as the city burns. Search for the ground underneath my feet as the city.
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. We're back, and we're going to go right back to the phones. Our caller, Greg from East Falls.
How you doing, ladies?
How you doing, Greg?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm probably going to get some slack from you ladies because I kind of have a pushback, but I say it respectfully. When you talk about two quick things, first of all, the thing with Bill Gates, it's true, and that was way before Corona. Bill Gates, and I remember growing up, him and his wife have a foundation that he actually talks about population control. And he's trying to buy, and this is all factual. This is not a conspiracy theory. He's been talking about that. So I don't want to get too much into that because you can research that information. That's just not Facebook talk. And that has nothing to do, I think, of those two conversations, Bill Gates versus Biden. But what I want to say about Biden is I'm going to vote for Biden, not because I'm enthralled about his record, because I hear a lot of politicians come on, and they always, one of the campaign things was always check the record. Well, Biden's record is what it is. And just because people are skeptical, now, we know, I hear I'm not a political neophyte, so I understand the thinking, well, we better stick with Biden because Trump is worse off. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to vote for Trump because I really absolutely despise the man. But I can't change Biden's record. And what irks me sometimes is that same old adage, well, this is a lesser of the two evils. And we know that every time. Biden, the question I have with Biden is, will that change him? Because he has a string of things that people, I'm not going to waste your time, because you guys are older than me. I mean, respectfully, I say that respectfully, and you know, and you're smarter, and you know the history. So I'm not going to repeat that. So when people come on and they're raising questions about Biden and the skepticism, that's well earned. And then it gets down to, well, who's going to be better? Then you get to a thing where it doesn't matter who I vote, whoever's in there, racism and systematic racism will exist. So at least I do understand and tolerate people that at least express their, their genuine concern for what Biden has been. And what I hear with that is a cry for how do we really get out of always the lesser of the two evils. And I say that respectfully, ladies. I really do.
And we thank you for your call, and we respect that. And I think that how you get out of it is you vote. You vote. And don't become discouraged. You vote. I grew up in a time where when I got angry about something and I was home and I was challenging my parents, and I go, life ain't fair. This isn't fair. And they would go back and say, life's not fair, and you gotta push through it. We have to push through it. Life has not been fair to the African American community. We have been dealt a bad hand, but we have taken that hand and we have strived through it all. And now is not the time to fall apart and decide, we can't see or distinguish between somebody who is grossly evil, who is causing us our lives, as opposed to somebody who, in my opinion, and just my opinion, is more benign. Emma?
I agree. That's where we are. That's exactly where we are. He is not perfect, and the question is, how do we stop having to take the lesser of more evil? And the only way we're going to do it is stand up and vote and let them know, just like they know now, that they can't get in office unless they have our support. That's the more. I'm so glad when they have to say that we need the African American women's vote or the African American community vote or seniors vote. They know that the African Americans are the ones that got them in office. And the more you hear that, and the more we show our power, the more we'll be able to make the decisions based on the qualifications, et cetera, and not based on the fact that it's the lesser of two evils or three evils.
Right. That's right.
That's my opinion.
Our position right now is we have to take the lesser of two evils if you're going to look at it like that. But if we don't learn to leverage our own power and utilize our own power in ways that benefit our community, then we'll never get to where we need to go, because we're always going to be subject to someone else's agenda.
And we know we're experienced people in politics. We know that Biden has not been perfect and not always in the African American community vote. Right. But we also know that this man that we have in the White House now is totally against it, and he's an ignorant man, he's a narcissist, and he's a racist. Now, why we even consider voting for this guy or not voting so that he then gets our vote, because that's what it means when we don't vote.
I'm gonna tell you, Emma, just like my sister said, we're not going to be happy until they come out with them chains and put you back in slavery. Okay? I mean, we are moving so far backwards, and here we are with all of the things. If you can see everything, and you can, you're going through one of the worst periods in history, where African Americans are dying, might I say, dying from this person who is only concerned about winning a re-election, and it's already said, I don't care how many people die.
That's right.
That's right.
He said, just open up the country. I don't care, because my people are getting upset about not.
Yeah, and he says people are going to die. We know that, but we have to reopen the country. So if that doesn't tell you right there, he has absolutely no regard for your life at all. I don't know what
Okay,
will.
Sisters, we're going to have to go right back to a commercial, and we have a lot of people holding on, so we're going to have to move it quickly. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at Forward, and we'll be right back.
The game is about to start. Get your face out your phone.
Just a minute. I'm completing the 2020 census.
Why do you care?
Listen, the census will impact how and where public funds will flow in our communities each year. If we're counted, we'll get better funding for our schools, even affordable housing.
Wow. Well, I'm going to complete the census now.
All right, then. Let's take a shot.
Complete the census online, by phone, or by mail. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Save our black business. Join us for online shopping Wednesday and Thursday, May 6th and 7th. Enjoy beautiful handmade gifts. Partial proceeds go to support black doctors. Go to survivestrivethrive.org to join Zoom.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
We're back. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, and we're going to go directly to our callers. Do we have D. West?
Peace and blessings. Am I the one to whom you're speaking?
Yes, you are. If you're D and you're from West Philadelphia.
This is Mama D from the far west.
Hi, Mama D. Hi.
Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And
Thank
to
you.
the Wurd family, you are so welcome. And before I say anything else, because I don't know how many seconds I have, I'd like to say that my prayer is for each of you to have a love-filled and blessed Mother's Day. Because you present yourselves as mothers to us in the community, and when I say that, I mean the love and the care that you bring to us, and we appreciate it. One other thing, well, two other things, actually. I'd like to follow up with what Brother Greg said, and as sad as it might be, Bill Gates is not who he presents himself to be. He and his father before him are both involved in this understanding and with groups that say that the world population needs to be decreased. But getting back to Fauci, see, because philanthropy doesn't change that when you're working behind the scenes to decrease other people's population. But with the Dr. Fauci, who is up there in that Trump lump administration, presenting himself to be someone who's working for the people, I'm going to share with you something that Dr. Judy Mikovits and her co-author, Kent Heckenlively, stated, and I'll give you the name of the book also. I'm willing to leave my numbers with the producer so that I can give you additional information because I don't want to take up too much time. But Dr. Fauci is 79 years old, and I'm not against him because he's old, because I'm old too. But the problem is he has been up in that position for 39 years, telling lies and covering up. And this is from Dr. Judy Mikovits. When you look her up, you'll see she's very courageous. That Fauci is covering up things. Dr. Judy said they have never produced a safe or effective vaccine. And he is the one, he was working with the Chinese on the virus. It had been banned here in the States for them to do any additional research with this virus. They did some in North Carolina and somewhere else here in the States, and it's all about the money. You sisters know the thing that we say, follow the money. But more than that, Dr. Judy Mikovits, and she happens to be 62 years old, she shared the very same thing that our fabulous naturopathic doctor, Dr. Paul Hopkins, said. She said that the people need natural good food, vitamin A, vitamins and minerals. They need to build up their immune system with the zinc, vitamin C, A, D, colloidal silver, and turmeric. I heard her say this with my own ears after having heard Dr. Paul Hopkins say it. I would love for you, sisters, to have Dr. Paul on, even though he comes on twice a week, Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday afternoon at 3 onward. He has tremendous information to share with us because there are some things we can do for ourselves that would help us during this time, and we would be dealing with the way the Creator set things up if we build up our immune system. And also, sadly, because of the nature of this virus and because it has been experimented with, it's not a natural occurring condition, just like AIDS, HIV was not natural occurring.
So, Mother D, we're going to have to move on because we have a lot of callers. But one of the things that I will say to you, we will, I like to do research because I don't want to put information out on the air that I am not sure at any given point that is true. And what we get a lot of, because, all of us, think that, we, when it comes to health matters, that we have remedies. And we come from, a traditional African-American background. When we were sick, we didn't have the benefit of having all of the traditional medicine. So, our parents used to do the mustard roll and onion packs and all of that other stuff. So I get it. But I am not going to buy into this conspiratorial stuff that is designed to send us in another direction. I thank you for your call, and we're going to go to Gary in Southwest.
Good afternoon, ladies. How are you?
Good.
How are you?
Good. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Quite welcome. In reference to voting, we definitely have to get out and vote. I just wanted to say something. It's like I'm recently retired, but I've never missed a vote since I turned 18 years old. And watching my parents, my mother in particular, I should say, her going out and voting all the time in all the elections and working extremely hard to take care of me. I just want to put this out there. It's sad that we have to make that choice. Now, really, for me, Joe Biden, it's like, hey, you can't go for that other guy. So I'm going to have to go with Joe Biden, but at the same time, I'm holding my nose doing it. And what I mean by that, even our local officials, and I'm talking about our local politicians, and maybe national too, that look like us, that we're going to give these people our vote, and they know our plight and our situation. If they're not going to do anything to help us, we're going to have to groom other people who have character and integrity that are going to address our needs. Because when you look at our city here, Philadelphia, we've had 3 black mayors with a majority black city council. And for us, our city, I know we have a lot of issues, but for our city and the black community in particular, to be in the condition that it is today is horrific and it's disgraceful. And I don't understand, like if I was working on an assembly line at an auto plant and I had a certain job I had to do, a certain fixture I had to put on that car, and I was sitting back in my seat, they're paying me every week, and I wasn't putting my part on there, guess what? I'm going to stop that assembly line. Guess what? Gary's going to be gone. We got to stop letting these politicians get reelected. We pay their salaries. They get a nice pension. They get their drop money. They get vehicles that we supply for them to drive. And that's not trying to be mean or throw shade at them, but it's real. We got to demand things from these people. We're going to be giving them our vote. Because we can't always have that thing with the Republican is the boogeyman, so you got to come with us. That's all I wanted to say.
No, Gary, here's the thing. It does rest with us. We're the ones who do that. They don't elect themselves. We elect them. And if we don't do something about it, then it is on us. Thank you, Gary. Leon from Center City.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Leon.
All right. I was thinking about what my model of politics would be, and the best one I could come up with is that politics is a pie with a slice missing. Guess who's not going to get a slice? It's going to be the people who are less active, who vote less, and who have no representation fighting for them. But I'm amazed when I listen to the radio and I hear people that I know who've been out there a while talking about how our leaders ought to be fighting for us, but in the same sense, these people believe in patronage. They get a lot of patronage. They believe in a system where it's who you know who that gets you somewhere fast. So you can't have it both ways. I think we should have fair government equity. I think African American leaders definitely should fight for their constituents and should be drummed out of office if they don't. But I can't say that and then turn around and say, you know, Joe, hire my cousin. You know? You can't have it both ways. You're either going to have good, clean, honest government, or you're going to have people fighting for that slice of pie and doing hook or crook to get it. Any comment, ladies?
Well, you know, I agree with you on that. I think very often that we have to, you know, we see it as transactional. You know, we're what, Leon, about close to 40 years out from really having elected officials at the city council level and having elected mayors. And we have not, in the 40 years, been able to really capture those seats in the way that we should have, because it is being funded by people who have the money, and they determine that they know that the game is by population, that there is the majority African American city. And so therefore they get behind certain candidates and they fund those campaigns and they expect a return. And as long as they're expecting a return and those elected officials answer to them, then we haven't had a chance. But one of the things that we haven't decided is that you may take their money, but you still need our vote. So it's us that have to come together and decide that we're not going to go that way. Regardless of who funds you, we're going to hold you accountable.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's what we're trying to do. And unfortunately, because they give all this money to the campaign, the African American community can't it can't go in the same direction, because most of the time they don't have the disposable income to give them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So therefore, the person who gives them money gets the power. Where we are is we're saying, yeah, all that's well, as Joanne said, but you still need us for the vote, and that's why we can hold them accountable. If it were not for the fact that they need our vote, then we would not even be able to hold them accountable, because money talks.
Right.
In politics.
But
well, we thank you.
Do vote, that they know they need our vote, because we are going to come out and vote, and so they need our vote to get elected. And so we have to leverage that in a way that gets us some of the agenda items that are going to help our community. We fail to make demands on the agenda items that will help our community.
So we're going to have to move on to the next caller because we're backed up. So we're going to be in Delaware.
Hello, Black Women's Leadership Council, Joanne, Emma, Rita, Troy.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Worldwide Wurd family, Lomax family, special kudos to Sarah Lomax Reese and all of you producers and hosts who are dedicated to keeping us informed, connected, and focused on our collective future during these times. Word listeners, please, for less than a quarter a day, get and renew your membership so we can be sure to keep this information and connection flowing. Ladies, I am so proud of you, and I'm always so grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you. Emma, I agree with you. This fight for human rights and our children's future is from the womb to the tomb.
Thank you.
So for the young people, you just get prepared, because the old people are going to go out carrying on the fight. When you come in, be ready to pick up the mantle. When next week, maybe if you have more time for politics, ladies, we can talk about politics, because I'm just a little concerned that the entire Democratic elite in the party has fallen lockstep behind Biden. But yet, in the midst of this virus, where people are telling us we're the most impacted, most likely to die, collectively, that Democratic leadership, not just Biden, the leadership, you want my vote, give me something. Biden is talking about spending $28 million to court Hispanic voters. All we're going to get is Biden's statement and platform on Lift Every Voice. We need more. If you're putting the collective power of the Democratic Party behind Biden, then come up with an agenda that says our needs are sitting top on the table, because it was the 2 weeks after Clyburn gave him South Carolina that he got that anointment. Now let's make it work between now and the convention and now in November. But I wanted to talk, Joanne, you talked earlier about sharing the pain and the success of the city budget cuts. We're looking at a reduction in the 10-year abatement, but there's a differential between the water rates. The city provides the water not only for city residents, but also surrounding suburbs. And I think if you check, you might find in Philadelphia, like in Wilmington, the rates for the people in Philadelphia who pay for the system are higher than the people in the county. So when we're looking at some equity, that's something as we're sitting at the table we have to deal with, as well as I remember when Mike Brown died, the issue in the city, in Kansas, was that a lot of the fines that were levied for the traffic stops and a lot of the fines that were levied were given in African-American neighborhoods to African-American people. There has to be an assessment of whether or not the fines, the traffic fines, and the other fines which are being levied by the city are being levied higher in certain zip codes. And if they are, that needs to either disappear or it needs to level out. And when it comes to the layoff decisions, that first hired, last hired practice needs to be put to the side, because right now, if the majority of the people paying those taxes don't look like the majority of the people sitting at the table, Joanne, you're doing the labor thing, you're doing, Emma, the commerce thing, and you're doing, Rita, the legal thing. I am so proud that we all are bringing to the table our collective power, but as we're looking at this virus, I want us not to get our attention displaced from the fact that what is going on in America today has a whole lot less to do with the virus. We must do all of our personal protections because there's something there. We don't know what it is. We don't know how it's being spread. We don't know what the ultimate impact will be. So until we study better, we need to continue to do the things to protect ourselves and protect our family.
Right.
But behind this is not the virus, it's the economy.
I would agree with you, B, and there's so much more that we need to have a discussion, and maybe we will do this next week about the impact. And I agree with you on another thing. We need to do, in terms of the city budget, an equity audit on the budget as to how it affects people of color as opposed, and even in those areas, as you're right, about fines and stuff, because we've had callers previously that called us about something to do with the water department. I am being told that we have to go to commercial, so you're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. We'll be right back.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Halana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
West Philadelphia Promise Neighborhood Community Meal Locations for Seniors, West Philly Senior Community Center, 1061 North 41st Street. Seniors only. Call 215-386-0377 for days and times and to reserve your meal. Fireside Adult Center, 5331 Haverford Avenue, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Call ahead, grab and go lunch for seniors. For a full listing of meal sites, go to phillyfoodfinder.org. For more information for the West Philadelphia Promise Neighborhood offerings, please go to wordradio.com and click on the WPPN banner ad for more information.
What's up, Philly? It's Aaron Smith, the rapping professor. As we emerge from this national crisis and begin to consider what it means to head back to school, maybe we should check out Commonwealth Charter Academy, an online K-12 public school available at no cost to you. There's a bright new light shining on the advantages of cyber schooling your children, and CCA is a market leader in using virtual classrooms over the internet to teach your children from the comfort of your home. Visit ccaeducate.me for details on fall enrollment. CCA's fully accredited teachers create a learning environment that is flexible, safe from bullying, and protected from environmental hazards. CCA provides all materials, internet access, a laptop computer, and a headset, all at no cost to you. Visit ccaeducate.me. Once again, that's ccaeducate.me to learn more about fall enrollment.
Now, with more clarity, this is Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at WurdRadio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
Here I stand looking around me, while all around me, what do I see? Unhappy faces behind a painted smile, heartache and loneliness, dressed up in modern style. Unhappy people living in sin and shame. Reflections of myself. Life is no easy game. And we're caught in the trade wind. The trade winds of our time. Here I stand looking around me, while all around me, what do I see? Young girls will soon become street walkers in the night. Young boys, the restless breed, looking for a fight. Children, both rich and poor, they're searching for the truth. And if they don't find it, God help tomorrow's you. We're caught in the trade winds, the trade winds of our time. Trade winds are blowing around me, and while all around me, hatred and jealousy. Brotherhood is dying. Love is the answer. Nobody's buying. Good people turning bad. Some don't, but they are few. The winds are blowing. The choice is up to you. We're caught in the trade wind. Trade winds of our Yes, we're caught up in the trade winds. The trade winds of our time. And we're riding on the trade winds.
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. And we are back, and we're going to go to Cliff in Connecticut.
And thanks for taking my call, ladies. Listen, Sister Kamala Harris out of California, she passed anti-lynching legislation, her and Cory Booker. Now they're trying to introduce the numbers for the coronavirus in terms of the black deaths. So certainly she's stepping up and representing the issues concerning African Americans. So if Joe Biden should, and he needs to, matter of fact, I'll be easy on him. I'll give him three choices. He can pick any black woman he wants, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, or even Keisha Lance Bottoms. But pick one of those sisters. I don't want a Hispanic. I don't want a white woman. Now, if he doesn't do that, I'm not voting for him. I'm going to the polls and write in one of those sisters. That's what I'm going to do.
I hear you, Cliff. Yeah, we were trying to get a poll going last week for the last couple of weeks to ask our callers, out of the women that you've just mentioned, or add some, which African American woman. We believe that that this issue is being challenged, and that the black women got him over the hump. And I was disturbed because I heard that Clyburn, Representative Clyburn, had said that he's not holding him to having to pick a black woman. Did you hear that, Rita and Emma?
Yes, we heard. I read it. Yes.
Yes, read it. Yeah.
Well, the thing that I think we have to do is to let our voices be heard.
Yes, because I think we have a right to demand that his running mate be a black woman, and that he keep his word that a black woman be nominated to the Supreme Court. He said both of those things. So I don't see why we can't demand both.
Well, he said that the reason why he was taking that position is because Clyburn said this, that because Biden had to take more things into consideration. And by that he meant, he's got the whole country, get the whole country to vote for him. And at least this is what I'm reading into it. And because of that, there are a lot of people who think that if they put a black woman in as his running mate, that it would cause him to lose.
And so
that's why we were trying to get our poll, because we want to be able to fight for what we want, but we want to know how the community feels about that too.
Right.
Not just selecting because the only other, they talk about Elizabeth Warren. A lot of people like Elizabeth Warren, and because she lost, their feeling is that, and she has a lot of good policies similar to those that Sanders had. And so if he at least put her in, then they would get some of the policies that we like that Senator Sanders had been pushing forward. So that's why he was saying that. And also because, as they put it in the news, the other woman, the other two women that they're mentioning, of course, is Amy Klobuchar, and I like Amy Klobuchar, not because I think necessarily vice president, but I thought she was very good on our issues too. So he's taken a lot into consideration, and that's why James Clyburn was saying that we need to think beyond just putting a black woman in there. But I
well,
but the question is, can he get elected by the rest of the country if he puts a black woman in there and then they go biased against him and he loses anyway? So then we get Trump back. So that was the rationale behind it.
Right, but that's assuming that the black community is not going to come out and vote en masse. You know, we're only going to be, 10% of the voting. They're assuming many things. And that was the same attitude that people had when Barack Obama came out to run, and he won.
Yeah.
Now it took a coalition of people to elect him, but the same thing can happen with a black woman. What we're saying is that Biden definitely can't win with a black woman. We're saying it outright. We're admitting defeat before we can even get started.
Well, I don't think we're saying that. I think.
Well, I think that what it could be.
We need to take into consideration.
I know.
I think, Rita, what Emma was saying, I was questioning Jim Clyburn's position. And Emma was attempting to explain what she thought his position was and why he said that. Now, it's up to all of us to determine how we want to go, and we should ask our audience that question. So we're going to Vernon in Southwest.
Hello.
Hello, Vernon.
Hi, Vernon.
How are you? Hi, ladies. How are you? All three of you.
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. I hate to say this, right? But I missed your show. I just came in and turned the radio on. I usually listen, but I still got time. Listen, I don't know what your question is, but I heard you talking about politics. I heard Leon, and I have a major issue. We, as the minority community, and I know some people don't like that word minority, so we of the brown skin persuasion are in a unique position. And this pandemic should have driven home the message to us more so than anything else. From this point forward, we need to stand up and do what we need to do to make sure that things are being done for us the way they should be done, that we should be counted as we are supposed to be counted. They take our money and they give us anything, and we stand for it. But from this day forward, because we've realized from this pandemic that life is short, tomorrow is not promised to us. And when we find ourselves flat on our backs, we should be able to draw from those resources that we put into for the last 30, 40, 50 years. But do we get it? No, we don't get it. So this is the point I want to make, and I'm getting off. We can elect anybody we want in any office in this city if we put our heads together and say who is the best candidate. I don't care if they're green or purple. And we can put them in there. Now, there's some people running around here pushing that girl who's this gentrification person, and she ain't got a qualification, one, for this position above at least 3 other people in that race. But are they looking at the other 3? No, they're not. They're looking at her. Why? Because that's who they are pushing.
Who are you talking about?
You know who you're talking about.
Right, I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Who?
Yeah, you do. You know what I'm
Are you talking about a local race or a national race?
State race. I'm talking about a state race.
Oh, state,
state.
at the state level or at the local level?
State level. Talking about the state race. I'm talking about the race for Auditor General.
Okay, so, listen, you got to talk to us and tell us. We don't know what you're talking about. Okay, now you're getting there. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Well, when I introduced you to my candidate, you said you would give me a call, and I'm still waiting to hear from you. But I know you haven't made a decision because I'm listening, although I missed a couple hours today, and you haven't taken a position yet. And you ladies.
Well, I think when you saw us, we were out, and that means that if we were out and I talked to you,
right,
that means that we were not under this circumstances that we're under now. So we're quarantined. So that's a whole different. Just to be mindful of that.
Okay. You got to pass. Because we still got time. But the point that I'm making is this, and that is that for those people who, and some of our elected officials, you know, endorsing this girl, and they haven't even considered the other candidates, and they haven't considered my candidate. And it's sad. We got to decide what's best for the African American, the brown community. That's what we've got to decide, who the best candidate is. We can't be selling out for a mess of partridge just because somebody got some money and somebody fed the party or whatever. We got to stop it.
Here's one of the things, Werner, that I can say. I am not, let me just say, impressed by the candidate that the party is pushing. So I'm not impressed by the candidate that the party is.
Can we find out who he's talking about?
I think I know who he's talking about, and we'll talk about it. And we'll come back next week to have a further discussion about it. Thank you, Vernon. Vernon. We have to go to break. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word, and we'll be right back.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
Save our black business. Join us for online shopping Wednesday and Thursday, May 6th and 7th. Enjoy beautiful handmade gifts. Partial proceeds go to support black doctors. Go to survive.thrive.org to join Zoom.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
I should have saved those leftover dreams for me. But here's that rainy day. Here's that rainy day. They told me about, and I laughed at the thought it might turn out this way. Is there worn out wish that I threw aside after it brought my lover near? Oh, funny how love becomes a cold and rainy day. Funny that rainy day is
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. Mother's Day is this Sunday, and we want to honor our community's mothers by sharing their pictures. To join us in celebrating mothers and send us a photo of your mother or a special mother figure in your life and one of her favorite quotes, email the picture and the quote to social media at wordradio.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, email a favorite picture of your mother or someone else that's special and send it to with a quote to social media at wordradio.com. And we're returning we're going to take this next call. I'm losing my spot here. Linda from South Philly.
Okay, I'm calling for, I think one thing we should think about is that Biden, the commitment, forget about the vice presidency due to the fact that's only 4 years, but to put a black female on that Supreme Court, because that's going to be for life. And we'll have somebody there because all these judges they're putting across these other parts of
That's agreed. Definitely.
That's the most important. Forget it's the only whoever he picks for the vice president is only going to serve 4 years, maybe 8. You don't know. But the main thing, the Supreme Court is life. You got Palace on there, and you got the poor lady who's sick that's on there now. So you need to have a black on the Supreme Court. That is for life. So you need to be that commitment to be more worse than going for a black female vice president. Even also if the vice president, black, white male, female, he makes white, there's her commitment too to it. That's what I'm saying. We need to be on that court. That's what's most important. Forget about everything else to a point because it's only 4 years they can do. The others are for life. That's it.
Well, I think you make a great point. I think that it's time to get some justice in justice, and by putting an African-American woman, the right African-American woman, on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, they should put Obama. Couldn't they put you this Obama lady?
Oh, I don't think she wants it.
Michelle, they couldn't do.
I don't think, it's not that she couldn't do it or not. She's got to want to do it, and I think she's made it very clear that she has no more patience for this elected or appointed public life.
Well, it's the same. This one other person we can't really deal with because she's a Republican. But that black girl that was Felicia Rice, the Rice girl, she'd be good too. But because she speaks 7, 8 languages. But
yeah, but she's not Republican. She's a Democrat.
She's the one that Bush had?
Oh, you're talking about Condoleezza Rice.
Oh, Condoleezza
And I'm thinking that you're talking about Susan Rice.
No. We're talking about Condoleezza. But she's the wrong party. That's all.
I wouldn't trust her.
But she's not an attorney either. She's not an attorney.
And all these people tell me they're not going to vote for nobody. They're damn traitors. They better vote for the people that are going to help their own people, their grandchildren. If they don't vote, they're a traitor. Goodbye.
Well, I like that. We're going to. I think she got that in. We're going to go to Kenny and Olney.
Hi, ladies. How y'all doing?
Hi, Kenny.
Hi, Kenny.
She right. They are traitors. It's hard to come back after what she just said.
I know.
Listen, you ladies had a lot. Y'all had local, state, and now federal. It's a lot, but the local thing, and you said it early on. You got 4 council people who in agreement with your letter, but that's in agreement with your letter is one thing, but saying it publicly in front of a camera that you are not going to support, that they want to get rid of that 10-year tax abatement, because that's the number one thing that feeds our schools, property taxes.
Absolutely.
And if you're giving developers a free rein while the working public, those who work in city government, those who don't work in city government, having to then fill the void because they got a break because they built something, what do you think the people who work in get to do? That's one point. The lady was dead on. The Democratic Party is missing this opportunity to push the narrative. If you don't vote, Mitch McConnell made it very clear. He done said it publicly in every way, shape, or form. I'm calling the Senate back because we're going to fill every single federal vacancy in the federal court so that if anyone that's not white file a discrimination suit, it's going to be thrown out because we don't want to do, and we want to pass laws that they can't even overturn in the court.
That's right.
And this Democratic Perez needs to go sit down and shut up and put.
Oh, I cannot stand Perez. I just can't take him.
No, because he's been so quiet and won't push what needs to be pushed to energize people. Not just saying, oh, we need to get rid of Trump, but no, why we need to get rid of Trump, why we need to get rid of Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, because this is what hurt Obama.
That's right.
There's that, what's the group of Republicans there's a group of Republicans who are trying to help the Democrats, and they are doing these commercials, and they are spot on. The Lincoln Group. That Lincoln Group is running circles around the Democrats. And the Democrats don't have the guts or the heart to say half of the things. They're taking it to Trump. But they're saying we're doing everything we can to help you Democrats. And then Perez gets up there and he talks all of this nonsense. And he doesn't stand up. And then after there's a win, the Democratic Party stands up and takes a bow like they did it. That, the win in South Carolina was on the backs of black people and specifically black women. And then he stands up and takes a bow. Yes, us Democrats. No. People are just tired and they're trying to do it themselves. But the Democratic Party, they're punks. Let's just call it what it is.
That's the same thing that happened with Hillary. The Democratic Party would not stand up and come out and talk about the relevant facts when Hillary was running. There was no leadership. There was no stand up and go. And we're repeating the same thing. There is absolutely no messaging that's going out to the Democratic Party. No messaging.
Well, we thank you for your call, Kenny. You got us worked up again. I think that was your purpose. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Tyrone in North Philly.
Peace and blessings, my queen.
Hey,
peace and blessings, Tyrone.
Much love and respect. You know, ladies and gentlemen, before I get to my point, I got to do my commercial. During this pandemic, if anyone was listening to WURD, you need to send your check in.
Oh, yes.
Because there has been nothing that's been more informative in terms of the survival of our folks. So everyone that calls and gives their comments, and believe me, there have been some beautiful comments being made these last 3-4 weeks. And I'm just asking and praying, ladies and gentlemen, trade wins about time. Let's send a check-in for that. For Troy playing trade win about Troy, I'm taking you to lunch next week, buddy, for that one. And ladies and gentlemen, with what's been happening in terms of the education of our children, what's been happening in terms of politics, what's been happening in terms of what's going on with us with this pandemic, please send your checks in. You got to send your checks in. If you're not a member, send in a donation. We need to make sure that we have an independent voice like we have, and we want to thank God for all the folks who call and give their opinion, whatever it is.
So, Tyrone, before you hang up, because, you know, you political, so you know you're going to know where I'm coming from. We need to also make sure that folks like you who represent leadership in our community push City Hall because they're making expenditures, media expenditures, and they're not using black media in the way that they could. And I have it on good authority, but I'm not going to call people out at the state level, that there was an allocation for and a budget to communicate with minorities on this coronavirus, and there was X amount of dollars, and that was to be spent in this budget. And I am told that under $25,000 was spent with this station, and $200,000 was spent in the Latino community across the state. And collectively, the African American community got less than $75,000. But I asked for a complete breakdown before I really go berserk on this issue. But this is what they do. This happens all the time. That's why we have to keep our eye on the ball. This is a state matter. We need to be making sure that the state health department is allocating these dollars, allocate these dollars to the communities that are being hurt, and that they need to do it according to the population of the state.
So if you don't mind me making my political statement, because out of all the conversations that I have heard today and hear quite often is down and what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, where is the fight that we had when we demanded, we did whatever, by Malcolm's word, by any means necessary. We did whatever we needed to do to push to make something happen.
That's right.
Where's that? Where's that? Why we keep saying what they ain't doing, and why we are not doing what we have always done is make people do what needs to be done. So as you're saying, if there was money that was allocated, and we're going to investigate and see what's going on, look, if somebody can shoot down somebody just jogging and they still on the street, if somebody can storm the capitals of states in this country with assault weapons and they are able to walk away, we better wake up and understand that we better make sure our voices are being heard. We better step up to the plate, stop crying, and stop saying who's doing what to us, and let's do something about it. Thank you, ladies, for allowing me to share.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate your call. So, Emma and Rita, see, I have to stop Rita because Rita's ready to lead the revolution. And then, and you, Emma, you're challenging because you're ready to go for it. But I think I'm going to have to turn both of y'all loose on this, because what happens is that what we say over and over again, and what we've been saying for this program, we're not getting a fair allocation of the resources that we actually send to the state, that we actually send to the city.
Right. And
our businesses are not getting it. Our community is not getting it.
And we keep saying it all the time. And like we were saying earlier, we need the community to step up and fight. Just like Tyrone said, where are you? Listen, we've been fighting this battle for many, many years. Where are our leaders and in the community, and why aren't they stepping up?
Because, the leadership, so the leadership is looked to by the community to stand up and to pick up the agenda and pick up the issues and to put them forward in a way that's going to be accepted, that's going to move things forward. But I do have to say that our community has been ravaged over time, from the 60s and 70s until now. There was the drug epidemic, then there was the mass incarceration, and so our community has been ravaged in terms of having outspoken advocates and people who are going to stand up and pick up the fight. It's going to take the young people coming together with the elders and the leaders of the past for them to learn what it is that we need to do to move our agenda forward. But our community has been under tremendous strain and stress over the years, and the plight that we find ourselves in now is a direct result of, over time, oppression and racism and drug epidemics, and then mass incarceration, all of the things that together have moved together to oppress us and keep us down. And there's not a whole lot of leadership because we're busy trying to survive. But it's going to take the young and the old to come together for us to stand up. So, I try not to be so hard on where we are today, because our community has been under such tremendous strain over time that we're going to have to get out and we're going to have to teach the young people the lessons that we learned.
Rita, we've always been under strain. This is not different. We've been under strain for one thing or another.
Yeah, we're constantly having to fight.
And I think a lot of that has to do with why people have just backed off and decided they can't do anything. But we are trying to let them know they can still do something.
Yes, and that's what we have to do. That's our responsibility. Is not to allow the complacency or the misplaced efforts to go unchecked. We have to check the fact that we need everyone's collective effort at this time, that we can't be complacent, we can't look the other way, and yes, we have many things that we have to deal with on a daily basis, but we can't give up the fight.
No, we cannot.
That's what we're doing here. Every week when we get on and we talk to the community, that's what we're saying, is that we can't afford to be complacent or to look the other way. We just can't afford it anymore. Our very lives depend on it.
That's right.
So, one of the things that I want to say before we wrap up is that, because this has been on my mind and I got to say this, and I know we got a lot of Biden callers and things like that, but we also get these distractions, and so I have to say this. I am sick and tired of having the national discussion hijacked by Miss Ann's virtues. I'm talking about the woman who's making the allegations against Biden.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We through history, people have been lynched because of Miss Ann's virtues. And I ain't got no more time to be listening to Miss Ann's virtues. If Miss Ann were black, we wouldn't be hearing about this. But she can hijack the whole discussion in a pandemic. And the press has time to run down the claim, to put it on news at every cycle. We got to hear about it when people are dying. And I got to be concerned that Miss Ann had her virtues attacked sometime in 1990 that we can't prove. Stop it. I don't want to hear anymore about Miss Ann's virtues.
Well, tell me, who is Miss Ann?
Biden's accuser. Throughout history.
And a lot of them that look like her.
Throughout history, there have been black men who have been lynched over stupid stuff like that.
That's right. Medgar Evers.
And when they decide that and then it turns up that they've been lying, and all of a sudden we hear all of this stuff. Well, you got to believe her. You got to believe her. Who believes the black women? How many black women have been harmed in history? And when we go back to slavery, how many black women have been raped and brutalized? Who believed them? Who protected them?
That's right. No one. I mean, that's the whole point, is no one.
Well, and I mostly hear men saying that they want to hear more about that. What are they talking about? They know that these accusers come out of the woodwork with this foolishness when they want to do it. They do it to our own men.
The history behind her accusation is that she's not credible. She is not credible, but we got to spend time listening to her when people are dying. We got to go to a commercial break. You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. We'll be right back.
1 in 23 will be diagnosed with colorectal cancer in their lifetime, yet more than 60% of deaths from colorectal cancer could be avoided with preventative screening. A colonoscopy can save your life. Skip the pre-visit and schedule your screening directly at einstein.edu/colon. Colon cancer is preventable. Learn more at einstein.edu/colon.
Hello, this is JD. And Juanita, owner of JD's Auto Body and Painting. During this COVID crisis time, I just wanted to share with you and Wurd family, I thank you for your continued support. Remember to wash your hands and make sure you're checking on your family and friends from afar. Car repair is an essential business. If you have any accidents, you can always bring your car to JD's Auto Body and Painting and we'll repair your car. We have a system in place for limited interactions for times like this. We need to lean on each other. Remember, Wurd, you always receive a 10% discount. Call us at 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949. Wurd members, you will always receive that 10% discount. See you soon.
You're listening to The Source with Black Women's Leadership Council on Wurd Radio.
Streaming live on WurdRadio.com and the Wurd Radio app.
Story is one for my brother when I went for myself. You know what I'm saying? I want all my people around me. Everybody living good. Everybody eating good. Everybody chilling. I want all my people around me. Everybody eating good. Everybody living good. Vote for my brother, vote for my sister. The sun is shining. The air is clear. My folks are smiling. No need for fear. The kids are learning what they should learn. Finally, folks are earning what they should earn. I want all my people around me. Everybody living good. Everybody living good. Everybody eating good. Everybody eating. Everybody chilling. I want all my people around me. People say everybody eating good. Everybody's living good. Everybody living good. Vote for my brother, but I vote for myself. If there's enough for one, there's enough for two. It starts with me and it starts with you. It's complicated, but it's simple too. Just like patience, sharing is a virtue. Show folks where you stand. Lend a hand when you can to your fellow man. Hold the plan for the day when you can't work the way you used to. I want all my people around me. All my people. Everybody living good. Everybody living. Everybody eating good. Everybody eating. Everybody chilling. I want all my people around me. Everybody eating good. Living good. Everybody living good. Living good. For my brother, for my brother, for myself. All my people, yeah. All my people. All my people, yeah. All my people, yeah. All my people, yeah. All my people. All my people. Oh, 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 oh.
You're listening to Black Women's Leadership Council at Wurd Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live at 4Word. And we are back. And Emma and Rita?
Yes.
I want people to do this for us. We want a hashtag that says, ain't nobody thinking about Miss Ann's virtues. Or don't nobody want to hear about Miss Ann's virtues. We're tired of this nonsense.
Yeah, that's right.
And we don't want to get caught up. We want the press to pay attention to what's really harming us.
Yeah.
How many people died in this city last night, Rita?
How many people died? Well,
yes.
I know there have been 743 deaths in the city since this started, and from last week we were at 516 deaths. Now we are at 743 deaths in 1 week. That's over 200 deaths in 1 week.
And we have more than 60,000 people who have died in 2 months in the United States. Do we want to hear about Miss Ann's virtues?
Yeah, we have so much more important things to think about and talk about. I do want to make one correction. I said Medgar Evers was one of the
No, I knew better than that.
But it was Emmett Till, and that was Emmett Till.
Yeah.
So I just got to make that distinction there.
Yeah.
Yeah, two very different.
That was a correction. That's a correction. Yeah.
Yes, I had to correct that one.
Yeah. Now, with respect to Joanne, with respect to the coronavirus, we need to make sure that people are staying masked. As Council President Clark said, we need to mask up. And one of the things that's happening is that people still don't believe, and a lot of people are ignoring the social distancing and walking around because when they're outside without any mask on. And it doesn't matter whether you're outside or inside. This thing is contagious, and it's contagious person to person, and that's what happens. And our people are beginning to think that it's not going to touch them. And I've had so many people call me this week about people who have died in our church and various places because of this coronavirus, and they didn't even think they had it. And it's because they get it with so many, in the black community, it seems to affect us differently. We don't seem to get a fever from it. We get the breathing problem, but the other problem is the latest thing I've heard is that sometimes we bleed internally, and then we get blood clots and things of that sort. So it comes at us differently, and because of that, we're thinking we're safe, and we don't find out to the last minute that we have it. And so we need our community to continue getting tested, continue wearing their masks, and continue the social distancing.
Yes, I mean, you're absolutely right. Please take this seriously. Take this virus serious. It is a matter of life and death.
And don't go out unless you have to go out. Only stand at least 6 feet away from people and wear your cloth mask.
That's right. Wear that mask and wear your gloves.
And wash your hands, singing what they say, singing birthday song twice.
But you know what, Emma and Rita, here's something that I heard Governor Cuomo say this morning on his daily briefing, and I thought that it was interesting. In their tracking, they noticed that there was still an uptick coming, what they say downstate, which would mean New York City, that they were still getting a number of new cases, and they wondered why, because they thought that they had it under containment. And so when they drilled down in these interviews of the people who got it, that most of them were over 51 and 51 and older, and that they were home. And so what leads me to believe that if they've been home and they haven't been traveling out, they don't have jobs that has taken them out to work, and they may have had some comorbidities, it's being brought to them. And it goes right to the heart of what you're saying, Emma. If you have people visiting in your homes,
yes,
and coming, we have children and relatives, and if they don't practice social distancing, if they don't wear a mask and gloves, then they out socializing, and they bring it right back into the homes and kill the vulnerable people.
That's right. And that's exactly right.
And a lot of parents and family members don't know they have it until it's too late, because, like I said, we get it differently. And so we need to be careful no matter what. We cannot afford to forget about this. This is too important. And our people are dying. And it may be quieter and it takes a while for us to hear about it, but they're getting very sick and dying. And a lot of our men are being impacted because, a lot of them say they can't wear the mask because they think the police are going to stop them and things like that. Well, if you're not wearing your mask, you could die. You know what I'm saying? You could die. This is so serious that they need to wear their mask.
That's right. I mean, you can't listen to what's going on in another state or another jurisdiction and saying, well, they're opening, they're relaxing the guidelines. No, there are still people dying every day, hundreds of people contracting the virus every single day.
That's right.
And so don't think you can't get it because of the states are thinking of reopening, and they are reopening. You can get it. You must practice social distancing. You must wear a mask. You must wear gloves. Don't be fooled.
And don't go out. I mean, I know that the president said he wants to open up the economy. He's doing that because of Wall Street and keeping the economic system going. But if we're dead, we can't enjoy the system.
That's right.
Well, what he has said, Emma and Rita, he don't care if you're dead. He said for those people who are elderly or over 60, they just want you to go ahead and die. And they don't care. And the other thing is that for those who have the comorbidities and they're younger, they don't care. They want you off the rolls. Go ahead and die. He's going to open it up. And what he's saying is that they will do this herding. And this herding means that they're going to herd out everybody who can't stay, whose immune systems can't fight it off for the economy. So frankly, he doesn't care.
He does not care. You are absolutely right. He said some people are going to die, but we have to reopen the states. That's what he said.
Yeah, he said that we know that some people are going to die.
Yeah.
That's just the case. They're just going to die. But in the meantime, we're opening this country.
I mean, who would stand behind someone who doesn't care anything about you? Nothing. Right. Who would stand behind a man like that?
The people who say that they can't vote for Biden.
That's right.
the people who was like, okay, yeah, people are going to die, so what? I'm gonna stay home because I don't know. Because Biden can't give me everything that I want. No, I think I'll go with the mass killer because at least I'm gonna stay home, give him my vote.
Right. And it's not a flawed way of thinking. It's just flawed.
And a lot of people think, well, he's given us $1,250. Well, most of the people haven't even got that. And you know how far that's going to go. You got that spent when you just think about it, trying to feed your family with it. So a lot goes into that. I just hope that our community is listening to this and really acting accordingly. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, ladies, we're going to start to wrap up, and so we're going to get each one of your comments. We didn't argue and fuss through this whole 3 hours.
It's true.
Yeah.
We started out with Alicia Keys with Girl on Fire, which is to signal to the audience we was on fire. We came to fight.
Right. We sure did today.
We came to fight. So let's start with you, Rita. Let's get some parting words here.
Well, just like I said a few moments ago, I just don't want any member of our community to be fooled by what's being said on television, in the news, in the media by these governors of the states that are reopening. It is still a pandemic. People are still dying. The virus is alive and well in our community. Don't be fooled. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. Continue to wear your mask, your gloves. Continue to stay indoors. Continue to protect yourself and your family. I also want to just take one moment to mention the gentleman who was killed in Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery, and they have put the videotape out of him being chased down by those two white men in the pickup truck and shooting him dead on the street. And so there are still issues going on in our community that we have to fight for, and that definitely is one that needs to be taken up.
Okay, Emma, because we got to move quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just want to say I think we had a good program, and I'm glad that a lot of people called in and expressed their concerns, and that we'll follow up on whatever it is that we need to follow up and get back to everybody next weekend.
I want to thank Troy Wilmore. He's extraordinary because he keeps us flowing and going, and he helps to make this a good show. I want to thank the Wurd family. I want to thank the Lomax family. And please, let's support this station. This is the only place where you get the news that you have. And for you, forgive me, but I suffer from allergies, and when it's grass cutting time, it really gets to me really badly. So we will see you or be seen, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Yeah. See you next week.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Yes, happy Mother's
Yes.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone. All the mothers.
Mm-hmm.